Thank you everyone for joining us today. It's a new start, fresh start for the year. And my colleague Alex and together with me, we have prepared for you an update regarding our latest improvements for custom actions and specifically .NET custom actions. Writing the C# DLLs to run inside your MSI packages. So a quick review of our agenda for today. Alex will have some demos showing you how to run various .NET custom actions inside your MSI. We'll also talk a little bit about the advantages of DLL versus script custom actions, how you can troubleshoot these custom actions, and how you can modernize existing custom actions, because the initial support for .NET custom actions natively supported by Advanced Installer was added a little bit over a year ago. Up until that point, we had to rely on a different open source solution, which was not entirely under our control, so it came with some limitations. If you don't know yet, Microsoft announced, I think a little bit over a year ago, but they started officially in 2024 deprecating VBScript. So since last year, VBScript is now separated into a feature OS, the VBScript engine, and it's installed by default with Windows. But in a few years, I think 2027, if I remember correctly, they will stop installing this by default. And after that, at a certain time frame, they will stop supporting VBScript at all. Of course, the recommendation for scripting is the all well-known PowerShell, which Advanced Installer supports very well inside the MSI. So you can create custom actions with inline or attached scripts. So just write your script directly in the Advanced Installer project, or if you have an existing script, you can attach that as an external source. And those work very well. And that's one alternative to convert and migrate your VBScript custom actions as soon as possible. But if you want a deeper integration with the operating system and you don't mind compiling your code from time to time, we recommend creating a DLL. And with DLLs, you have two options. You either write a C++ native DLL, which is not so common for everyone and a little bit more time consuming, or you go with a well-known and powerful .NET. You can write those custom actions in .NET Framework or .NET Core, depending on which of these your application is targeting. So you don't include additional prerequisites only for the custom action. So it's best to match those dependencies with the dependency of your application, assuming you have a .NET application. DLL has some advantages because it eliminates possible false positive detections with antiviruses. It reduces the chance for man-in-the-middle attacks where somebody can take your MSI package, modify something in the script, in your PowerShell script, and then somehow inject between you and the end user and pass that MSI to the end user, assuming the end user doesn't check your digital signature or the package wasn't originally digitally signed, which is again a highly recommended practice for you to adopt. So besides that, of course, you all know it's easier to write C# code than C++ for managing all VB scripts. It's very easy to troubleshoot and debug with the built-in professional tools from Visual Studio. Leveraging the native integration from Advanced Installer, we have our Visual Studio extensions that provide that integration directly. Makes this experience seamless and basically extends your customization power to a whole new level when it comes to powering your installation process. For today, Alex has some demos. He will show you how you can create a new custom actions using some of the new features from Advanced Installer 22.4. We've just released that a few hours ago, so you can download it and try everything that Alex is showing you now. Or you can update existing custom actions, the ones that you could have created in the past year, the C# custom actions using our previous support, to leverage the new functionality that Alex will show you today. I hope this will be useful for you too. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, just post them in the chat. I, together with the other colleagues, will monitor them and will answer all of them at the end of the call once Alex finishes his demos.
Yeah, thank you, Bogdan. Let me share you some thoughts regarding running .NET code into your MSI installation. Having .NET runtime installed on the target machine is mandatory. As we know, Windows come with some versions already installed for running .NET Framework application. Running modern .NET code like .NET Core or even newer ones, how Microsoft prefer to name them just .NET. Even if I think it's from version 5 and now they got to version 9. So I hope today we managed to create a C# custom action running on .NET 9, so the latest and the greatest. Let's install the Advanced Installer extension because it provides some project templates that will help create the C# library project that we need to add to our Advanced Installer project so we can build our MSI. So now we should restart the Visual Studio and the extension will be installed. Open Visual Studio again, and we can see we have new project templates. So create a new project, and now we have in the left side some C# custom action template project. Because I already used it, it appears to the recent project templates. Let's double click this template. Now, as you see here, we already provide a sample. The C# method must have this signature. So it should be a public static method that returns an integer and takes a string as argument. Okay, we have some few classes here added to the project. One is a wrapper for the MSI APIs. If you see here, there's a lot of MSI APIs marshalling, and I'm pretty sure we didn't add all the MSI function, all the MSI APIs, but you can complete the list here, and you can use it in your project if you want. There's more enumerations that can help you call these APIs. Basically, it's a wrapper over this MSI class is a wrapper over the MSI handle. The second class here that we have in our project is a helper class that is used to communicate with the MSI native custom action, because in the backend we create a native custom action that hosts the .NET runtime, and the .NET runtime loads your DLL and call this function that you wrote. So let's see what the sample provides. And I think we should take this sample line by line. So this here we must instantiate the class that provides the MSI functionality. So the wrapper over the MSI handle. We get the MSI window just to use it for showing a pop-up, so you can easily debug your application. In the next lines, we can see we have some useful information that we want to log. So we use the session object and log the information as info in the MSI log. Now we provide an example on how to get a property from the MSI installation and log its value. Here we have an example on how to set property values. So here is just a basic logic just to prove on how you can set your new value. So we can build this project, and then we can integrate the DLL into our advanced installer project. Okay, I will use the, actually I want to show you that the default target framework on this project template is 7, but let's change it to 9, to the latest version that I have already installed on my machine. And let's build our project. Okay, seems that the project must be refreshed. So we just have to unload and reload the project. Let's rebuild. Okay, now everything is fine. The project built successfully. Let's go to the second step where we create a new project in Advanced Installer. And now we should add our DLL. Let's add it as a temporary file. Okay, now we can go to the custom action view, and we should add a new custom action of type call method from .NET assembly. Once we have this view, we can inspect these fields. If you don't know what should you type in these fields, you can always use our help. So to open up the help, you can use this button on the top right corner, or you can just use F1 shortcut key. Okay, so as you can see here, there are some specifications for each field. The assembly field specify the .NET assembly location. In our case, there is a temporary file. We can use this kind of workflow to specify our temporary file. So we use this dialog, just select our DLL. And now for the method field, we must specify the full name of the method. So if we go to our class, but the full method name implies the namespace and the class name and the method name. So we have the namespace dot class name. Okay, and the method name, let's change the method name. So I'll call it just package. Not sure if the best is the best name, but if we change the name, we must rebuild the project. And now let's add the function, the method name to this field. We can add some additional data here that you can use in your C# custom action. This is just using the custom action data property. The next option in this view is regarding the 64-bit flag. So if you need to call 64-bit code, you have to check this option. And the last option is run into a new process, which is a feature that we added in the latest release. So what does this option do? As the documentation says, prevents the .NET DLL being locked during the installation process, because your C# code will run into a new process and will avoid potential file access. So if, as example, if you use a DLL that is installed for your application to call the custom action code from there, virtual machine, the .NET runtime, will lock that DLL and your uninstall process will fail, because you cannot control when you want to free some resources from the .NET runtime. So here we have some limitations that I want to specify. First, I mean, developing this feature, we had some limitation regarding the .NET runtime. First one is that you can only host a single runtime instance on a process. So on your installation, if you have multiple custom actions, you can only use the same runtime instance. That means that you can get your .NET DLL stuck, locked on the disk, and you cannot control, which is the second limitation. You cannot control when to free your resources. The .NET assembly can be locked on the disk by the runtime, and your installation can fail at some point. Let's continue with our project, with our advanced installer project. Let's configure our custom action. So let's say we have to run our custom action deferred and only on install stage. That means we have to uncheck the install and maintenance. Now, I think we're good to go and we can save our project. And now we can build and run our MSI. So let's continue our installation to see if our pop-up. Okay, so we already have our pop-up that says attach your debugger now. Okay, so here in the code we have our pop-up, and we can add a breakpoint after this line of code. So after we attach the debugger, we can inspect our code. So to do it, just debug. We select attach to process, and now we see that our C# project is running into run DLL32.exe. So that means we are no longer bound to the MSI exec process. Okay, let's attach and see that if we can inspect our code. So as you see here, we didn't add any custom action data, and we use the session log, which we can see in the advanced installer log here. And then we try to get my property value, which we didn't set. So let's have some more setup on the advanced installer just to see if we get the right data here in the C# code. Okay, so first, I think we should uninstall our application. And let's add a new property. Let's go to properties view and add new property. Now you can see that the property name is my underscore property. So just use copy paste just to make sure. And as value, let's say okay. So now we can build the project again. And let's see if we have the right data into our, so let's add some more data in the action data field. Okay, and now build a project. We should see here that, yeah, and run our MSI. We have our pop-up and we can attach our debugger. Let's see. We can inspect it like using the cursor, or just to add it, add the variables to your watch window. If it's a matter of taste, or just use log. So right now we were logged as this message to the installation, and we can see our log here. This is my additional data that we wrote here. Now let's go to and continue to see if my property changed its value. So we have my property value here, which is still empty. I don't know why, but we try to find out. Property. Maybe you should rebuild the project, because I don't know why my property value is still empty. Okay, so it seems that we still have an issue here. Let me check. Yeah, I wanna check if our custom action is immediate or deferred. So yeah, it seems like the custom action is deferred. Change our custom action to be immediate so we can get our property value. Okay, now we should get our property value. So now it's fine. We got the correct data that we needed. Okay, let's go and further and see how the data was logged here and into the MSI log. So I think that was all for the first part when we create a new custom action and integrate it into an advanced installer project. And we should take to the take this presentation, take this demo to the second part where we will update an old project that doesn't support this feature, run into new process and update it so it will work as the one that we created previously. So let me check. I think I have an old C# project and check the MSI session class, which, as I told you, is just a wrapper over the MSI APIs. This version of this class implementation is limited than the newest one. So what we have to do is just code the implementation or just copy and paste the new one by adding a new project of the same type. So let's create a new project just to copy the code from here to our class. Then we can delete the new project and leave our solution with only what we want. So right now we have copy and pasted the new implementation, but as we copied from the new project, we have its default namespace, which we have to update. So our namespace should be like this, because if we don't update the namespace, our project won't build. So now I updated the MSI session and seems like our project doesn't compile. So it says that remote MSI calls class is missing, but we have it here in the new project and we can paste it into our old project, but we have to update the namespace again so it will be compiled. Let's build. Yeah. Right now Seems that we have a warning, but let's see the adding required. Let's try to. Oh, we only have suppress or configure. Okay, let's not spend too much time on this. You can also fix this warning or ignore it. Our DLL build, and if you go to your old project that was using that DLL, run into new process and run the new MSI, you can see your C# code is executed into a new process. Let's see. Just to confirm, we see that our pop-up now is from run DLL32.exe. So I think that was all. And the update on the older project was minimalistic. If you have any suggestions or questions about our approach, or I don't know.
We already had 2 questions from Matt. Thank you, Matt. Actually, I'll start with the second question from Matt. Is there a good reason to rework old Wix-based custom actions? So for those of you that didn't know, the previous, before we launched our support for creating C# custom actions, the only way to run C# custom actions and to build them and for your MSI was to use the DTF Wix toolset, DTF framework from the Wix toolset. And using that Visual Studio extension, you could build your C# custom actions and include them in any MSI. Doesn't matter if the MSI was built with Advanced Installer, Wix, or other tools. The major limitation of that framework is that it doesn't support targeting .NET Core. And initially that wasn't a problem, but in the, I don't know, I think it started over 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, our users started requesting more and more .NET Core support for those custom actions. And the reason was very simple. Their application was most likely cross-platform, or for some other reasons was written in .NET Core. And they didn't have any dependencies on the installer for .NET Framework. So it was a pain for them to force them to include the .NET Framework as a prerequisite just to make sure their custom actions were working. Because the framework, the prerequisite itself was not required for the application to work. It was only a dependencies for the installer itself. So this was adding, using the .NET framework just for the custom actions was adding a lot of baggage overhead on top of the installer. So using the ones from Advanced Installer, obviously, as the name implies, you can target .NET Core or .NET Framework, depending on which one you use for your application. So it's going to be a much cleaner and leaner package containing all those dependencies. You don't have to carry additional noise. Another question from Matt is, if we have all projects that were using the Wix custom actions, how do we easily identify those and migrate in the future? And for that, you have 2 options. You can either just have a look inside the project. Our Advanced Installer project is an XML project. So if you open that in VS Code or whatever XML editor you have, you can see on the first line the version with which the project was created and edited. So if it was a version older than 21.2, which is like 18 months ago or so, approximately, those projects were certainly using the Wix.NET custom actions if you have those, if you've used those in the past. Because we started adding support for .NET Core and using our proprietary library for C#, starting with version 21.2. So if the project is newer, chances are that you created it with our framework. if you've never used the Wix-based custom action before recently. We have the articles for both type of custom action on our user guide. Just search C# custom actions and you'll see notes saying these are with advanced installer, these are with Wix, so it will be easy to mark them. But that's one way to look in the project. Another simpler way is just to go in the custom actions view pane and check the name of the DLL that you're pointing as a target for your custom action, and the ones that were written with were built using the Wix technology, and usually end with the letters .ca.dll, so .ca from .custom action. If you haven't renamed that DLL, because the .NET, the Wix-based framework was generating two DLLs, a native DLL, a native .NET DLL, and a wrapper that was used to integrate the custom action, and the wrapper was always ending with the letters .ca. And these are two relatively easy methods to detect them. And if you still are not sure, you can always email our colleagues from the support team, and they can you send them the AIP file. You don't need to send them the sources of your project, and we'll probably easily figure out for you what's the deal with those custom actions. Alex, we have one question from Don, if the samples that you showed are available online. So we have some samples in the tutorials. I don't know if what you showed today is a little bit more detailed besides what's in the tutorials.
For this sample, you can only have to install the advanced installer visual extension. So you can go to extensions, just manage extension, and type in the search bar now you can download from here. Just restart the Visual Studio as I did previously, and you now will have our template project here. So let's pretend the project templates are not in the recent list. So if we type here in the search bar custom action, we have those from Wix, and we have those for advanced installer. So we can type custom action, or we can type advanced installer. And when you create a new project, you already have this sample, which I think is very useful for anyone who tries for the first time using the C# custom action. I think this clarifies your...
This should be more than enough for a sample, so we'll get a start with it.
I think one way to discover the functionality of the MSI session, you can use also the Visual Studio ID that provides autocomplete, and you can see here a lot of functions. The wrapper over the MSI handle. We also, I want to say, we don't have, I don't know, what do you expect, a GitHub repository where we post this sample.
These templates are pretty straightforward. So far in the last 18 months or so since we launched them, we didn't have any problems with the customers. You can always email us at support@advancedinstaller.com. Search our user guide for, again, step-by-step details of how to go through all the things that Alex showed you today. So thank you all for joining us today. And don't forget to share your feedback with us, and also share our application with your friends and colleagues if you find it useful. Until next time, have a great week and a great new year. It's just getting started. Bye.